Big Brother is watching you was the claim from the dystopian novelist George Orwell in 1949. In 2019, this statement has become fact. There are over 5 billion camera phones and 3 million ATM cameras in the world today. On average, 106 million surveillance cameras are installed every year worldwide. Our journeys are followed by thousands of number plate recognition cameras, and we are recorded on a daily basis by body cameras, dash cams, and helmet cameras. High above this impending world of Orwellian surveillance, over 1,700 satellites observe the planet. Some of these satellites are so sensitive that they can detect the beginnings of a forest fire from 300 miles above the Earth. Much of this footage can be used to fight crime. Google Earth gives everyone a bird's eye view of the entire world, and it's just one surveillance tool that has been used to catch criminals. In this video, we'll look at 5 crimes that were solved using Google Earth. Cannabis field in Switzerland. Rapperswil is a village in the northeastern area of Thurgau in Switzerland. In 2017, the population stood at just 394. It's a quiet and sleepy little place that no one would ever suspect harboured a criminal gang, because 2/3 of the surrounding area is used for agricultural purposes. Zurich police were using Google Earth to find the addresses of 2 local farmers, whom they suspected of taking part in drug deals. They were investigating the drug ring when they stumbled across satellite imagery of a 2-acre cannabis farm. The crop was hidden in the centre of a field of corn, so a passerby would not notice anything strange in the nearby fields. The chance discovery of this satellite imagery resulted in the arrest of 16 people, including the 2 farmers, and the discovery of over 1 ton of marijuana. The wider investigation discovered that over a 4-year period, the drugs gang had sold 7 tons of marijuana. The drugs were seized along with money and other valuables, which were worth over 2 million Swiss francs. The 2-acre cannabis farm has now been destroyed. Heroin dealers in Brooklyn. Google Street cameras were able to capture a string of photographs that led to the arrest of 7 drug dealers in the borough of Brooklyn, New York. The camera shots showed 3 men standing in front of an East Willingsburg neighborhood grocery store, just one of the 2 small corner shops from which they sold their merchandise. The store is on the corner of Jackson Street and Kingsland Avenue. More images were also being taken along both those streets, showing various members of the gang. This led to a string operation by the NYPD when several undercover police dressed up as customers so that they could buy drugs. The heroin they bought was in $10 envelope wraps that were stamped with brand names including Magic and Crossbones. On several occasions, the police were taken inside the store by dealers before they were given the drugs. The police officers used handheld cameras in order to capture surveillance footage of the dealers, hiding heroin in a lockbox behind a metal sign at the store. The store owners and their employees had no idea about the hidden stash, or that their premises were being used by the dealers. The investigation began when locals complained to the police about the illegal activity. 3 of the 4 men photographed were arrested outside of the store. Another 4 were also detained, including 2 brothers, who were caught in the basement apartment of their mother's house. Police found 20 plastic bags full of heroin, as well as marijuana and other drugs, including envelopes, brand stamps and scales. All 7 men were charged with multiple counts of the criminal sale of a controlled substance. Bike thieves in the Netherlands. A teenager was happily riding his bike in Groningen in the north of the Netherlands when he was dragged from his bike by 2 male assailants. They made off with the bike as well as the boy's mobile phone and €165 in cash. The 14-year-old boy reported the incident to the police, but with no leads and no evidence, the crime went unsolved. 6 months later, the teen was messing around on Google Maps when he saw an image of himself riding down the street, where he had been mugged, and behind him were the men who had committed the crime. Again, the boy reported his findings to Dutch police, and this time they were able to take action. All human faces on Street View are blurred for reasons of privacy, so police applied to Google for formal permission to see the original image. The detection from the area's burglary force recognised one of the suspects immediately, and they were both arrested. Dumb criminals. Brad Cooper left police a trail of evidence when he made the mistake of using Google Maps to plan the route he would take when disposing of his wife Nancy's body. He was given a life term for her murder. Stephen Hodgson was also sentenced to life imprisonment when he murdered the elderly lady Patricia Thompson. Evidence showed that he had used Google Maps to scope out her house. Santosh Kamori was celebrating at a Hindu festival with friends when she was shot in the head and killed. She was attending the party on the top floor of a luxury hotel in Bathinda at the time. Punjabi police were at a loss as to why the 45-year-old who worked for the military engineering service would have been targeted in that way. The hotel was in the area of several marriage palaces, and it's custom in small towns in northern India for there to be celebratory firing of gunshot into the air at weddings. Although it is illegal for anyone to carry a weapon in a public place, many cases go unreported. In larger cities, not everyone in the neighbourhood is likely to be invited to a wedding, so any gunshots and loud music will be reported. But in smaller towns and villages, everyone gets invited, and therefore no one wants to be the person telling tales to the police. The senior superintendent of the Punjabi police decided that he would use Google Earth to track the trajectory of the bullet and search for the locality of the weapon. He soon had an exact area where he believed that the bullet had been fired from. Ballistic investigators were able to show that the bullet came from a new rifle. Provided with this information, detectives visited local gun shops and came up with their 25-year-old suspect. The suspect lived in the radius marked on the police superintendent's Google map. Police searched his house and found the rifle as well as 5 cartridges. Experts proved that the bullet was losing impact when it hit Satosh, so she was not a deliberate target. It turned out that the suspect had been practicing firing on his rooftop before attending a wedding. It had all been a tragic accident. Nevertheless, the suspect was charged with culpable homicide, endangering the safety of others, and unlawfully using a weapon. The Cameroon Murders. In the summer of 2018, an appalling video went viral. It showed 2 women being accused of belonging to the terrorist group Boko Haram. The women and their children are taken away by soldiers. Then they are blindfolded, told to kneel, and then shot dead. The only clues to the perpetrators of these crimes were glimpses of the soldiers' faces and the use of nicknames that were captured on the video. There seemed no way to know who the soldiers were, where the killings took place, or even which country they were in. 2 months later, BBC journalists began to investigate the incident and were able to work out what actually happened that day using Google Earth and Facebook. They posted their investigation on Twitter for everyone to see. To begin with, the journalists needed to find the location. Amnesty International experts concluded that the uniforms and the insignias belonged to Cameroonian soldiers who were probably in the area of Mayo Tasanga, a volatile region of northern Cameroon. The Cameroon government were quick to deny these claims, but journalists were able to pinpoint the area using Google Earth and matched up the mountains shown in the background of the footage. This led the hunt to a village called Zalavat, just on the border with Nigeria, an area known for fighting between the Islamist militant group Boko Haram and Cameroonian soldiers. Once they knew which area to look in, the journalists were able to narrow the search down even further by using Google Earth to find recognizable roads, buildings, and even trees. Using all of the information gathered, they were able to get an exact location where the incident happened. Now they needed to find out when it happened. This was done by comparing the footage and satellite images, and they were able to reduce the timeline down to between 2015 and early 2016. This was narrowed down even further by noticing that the earth was so dry that the footage must have been filmed during the dry season, which is between January and April in this region. Then amazingly, they were able to use the shadows cast by the soldiers and a mathematical formula to work out that the footage was filmed between March the 20th and April the 5th, 2015. Now all that was left was to find out who the soldiers were, and for that the journalist turned to Facebook. Using the name Tachoko, that was heard in the video, a link was made to a soldier and also another 2 soldiers who were guilty of murdering the woman and their children. Just a month after the video footage emerged, a statement was released from the Cameroon government stating that 7 men had been arrested and imprisoned, whilst an investigation was carried out over the atrocity. 3 of those soldiers were discovered thanks to the detective work of the BBC journalists, with a lot of help from Google Earth. So that's 5 crimes that were solved on Google Earth. We hope you've enjoyed this video, and there are a lot more crimes and mysteries that have been solved using this software, so if you'd like to see more videos like this, let us know. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next video.